The marble floor of the Peterson Medical Plaza reflected the afternoon sunlight as I walked toward the elevator bank. I'd come to drop off some documents Dad had left at Sunday dinner, insurance forms he needed for a patient consultation. Simple errand. In and out. Emma. Dad's voice cut through the lobby like a scalpel. What are you doing here? I turned, holding up the manila envelope. You left these at. How did you get past security? He strode toward me, his white coat billowing behind him. 3 of his colleagues stood near the reception desk, coffee cups frozen halfway to their mouths. This is a professional building. You can't just walk in here. Dad, I'm just bringing you're trespassing in my building, he yelled, loud enough that the receptionist's phone calls stuttered to silence. Keyboard clicking stopped on the second floor walkway. Margaret, call security. Now. The receptionist, Margaret, apparently, reached for her phone with shaking hands. I'd seen her earlier. She'd smiled at me, asked if I needed help finding a suite number. Now her face had gone carefully blank. Dad, this is ridiculous. I'm bringing you the insurance. I don't care what excuse you've invented. He gestured broadly to the lobby, to the glass-walled offices visible on multiple floors, to the modern chandelier hanging in the atrium. Do you see this? This is a place for professionals. For people who've actually accomplished something. You can't just show up at my workplace and embarrass me. Heat crept up my neck, but I kept my voice level. I'm not trying to embarrass anyone. You embarrass me by existing. He said it matter-of-factly, the way he'd say a diagnosis. 28 years old, working retail at that bookstore, living in that apartment in the bad part of town. And now you're showing up at my medical building like you belong here. 2 security guards emerged from the hallway near the parking garage. Young guys, probably early 20s, looking uncomfortable. Dr. Williams, the taller one said. There a problem? Yes, this woman is trespassing. I need her removed from the premises immediately. The guard looked at me, then at Dad, clearly uncertain. Ma'am, do you have business in the building? She does not. Dad answered before I could speak. She has no reason to be here. I want her escorted out and banned from the property. Make a note in your system. Emma Williams is not permitted in Peterson Medical Plaza under any circumstances. Margaret was typing frantically, probably doing exactly that. I own this building, I said quietly. Dad actually laughed. Jesus Christ, now she's delusional. That's perfect, just perfect. She turned to his colleagues, who'd moved closer to watch. This is my daughter, everyone. The failure I've told you about. Now she's showing up at work, inventing fantasies about owning commercial real estate. Dr. Philip Saunders, Dad's partner in the cardiology practice, cleared his throat. Tom, maybe we should know. No. She needs to learn she can't just show up places she doesn't belong. She's spent her entire life coasting, doing the bare minimum, accomplishing nothing, and I'm done enabling it. The employees stopped working to watch the security escort begin. A woman on the second floor had her phone out, probably recording. Great. I could see interns peeking through the glass doors of the physical therapy clinic on the ground floor. I checked my phone as the elevator doors opened. Mr. Martinez stepped out, leather portfolio under his arm, looking like he'd just come from a meeting. His eyes swept the lobby. The security guards flanking me. Dad's furious stance. The gathered crowd of medical professionals. Williams, Martinez said, his voice carrying that particular tone of someone who's walked into something they need to handle immediately. What's going on here, Mr. Martinez? Thank God, this woman is trespassing in the building. I've asked security to remove her, but I'm sorry, you're threatening to evict whom? My daughter. She has no business being in this building. Martinez looked at me. I gave him a small nod. Dr. Williams, Martinez said carefully, you're threatening to evict your own landlord. The lobby went silent. Even the HVAC system seemed to hold its breath. Dad's face went through several colors. What are you talking about? Miss Williams owns Peterson Medical Plaza. She purchased the property 14 months ago. I manage it on her behalf. Martinez pulled a document from his portfolio, which, according to the lease agreement you signed, means she has unrestricted access to all common areas, and with proper notice, to lease suites. That's impossible. Dad's voice had lost its commanding edge. This building is owned by Peterson Holdings Group. He was owned by Peterson Holdings Group. He sold it in September of last year. Miss Williams acquired it through a private transaction. Dr. Saunders made a strangled sound. Emma, you bought this building. I finally spoke. The Peterson family wanted to liquidate some assets. Their daughter mentioned it at a book club meeting. I made an offer. Book club. Dad's voice was faint. You bought a commercial medical building through book club. The purchase was through normal channels. Dr. Williams Martinez said. Book club was simply where Miss Williams learned the property might be available. She secured financing, made a competitive offer, and closed the sale. All quite standard. Financing. Dad looked at me like I'd grown a second head. You got financing for a medical plaza. Turns out banks really like lending to people with substantial investment portfolios and a solid business plan. I kept my voice even, factual, especially for a property with long-term commercial tenants and steady income. Margaret, the receptionist, had stopped typing. She was just staring, mouth slightly open. Investment portfolio, Dad repeated. You work at a bookstore. I own 3 bookstores, actually. The one here, plus 2 others in neighboring towns. I've been running them for 6 years. I shifted the manila envelope to my other hand. Before that, I spent 2 years working 80-hour weeks doing social media consulting for medical practices, including briefly, yours, though you never noticed because you assumed the college kid handling your Facebook was just some random contractor. Dr. Saunders was nodding slowly. You did our rebrand 4 years ago. The whole digital presence overhaul. That was my work. Yes. I charged you $70,000 for it, which became seed money for my first bookstore purchase. $70,000. Dad's voice cracked. Market rate for comprehensive medical practice digital strategy, including website redesign, patient portal integration, SEO optimization, and 18 months of social media management. I looked at Martinez. The bookstores generate steady income, but the real growth came from consulting. Tech companies pay extremely well for people who can translate medical jargon into patient-friendly content. Martinez nodded. Miss Williams' financial portfolio was quite impressive. The bank had no hesitation about the commercial property loan. But you live in that terrible apartment, Dad said weakly. We live in a rent-controlled 1-bedroom. 3 blocks from my flagship store because it's convenient and lets me keep overhead low. The money I save goes into investments. I gestured around the lobby. Like this building. The taller security guard was trying very hard not to smile. You're telling me, Dad said slowly, that my daughter, who I've been telling everyone is a failure working minimum wage retail, owns the building where I practice medicine. That's correct, Martinez said. Along with the parking structure, the adjacent lot we're developing into urgent care facilities, and the small office building across the street. I'd forgotten about mentioning that purchase. Martinez was being thorough. The building across the street, Dad repeated numbly. Miss Williams is assembling a medical campus. Very smart investment strategy, given the hospital's expansion plans 3 miles north. Martinez checked his watch. Now, Dr. Williams. About this trespassing accusation. Miss Williams is the property owner. She has absolute right to access common areas. If you attempt to restrict her access, or instruct security to bar her from her own property, that would constitute lease violation under Section 12, Paragraph 4 of your tenancy agreement. Dr. Saunders stepped forward. Tom, maybe we should talk in your office. Lease violation, Dad whispered. She could evict me. I'm not going to evict you, Dad. I held out the manila envelope. I came to bring you the insurance forms you left at dinner. That's all. He didn't take it. He was staring at me like I was a stranger. The bookstore girl, he said finally. All this time, the bookstore girl, who couldn't make anything of herself. I made plenty of myself. You just weren't paying attention. Margaret had pulled up something on her computer. Dr. Williams, should I remove the access ban? Or, remove it, I said, before Dad could answer. And Margaret, thank you for being professional about this. I know it was awkward. She nodded, fingers flying over the keyboard. Martinez tucked the document back into his portfolio. Dr. Williams, Your lease renewal comes up in 4 months. My office will be in touch about terms. Miss Williams has indicated she wants to maintain positive relationships with all tenants, but we will need to discuss the fair market rate adjustments. Rate adjustments? Dad echoed. Your current rate is 15% below market value. The previous owners gave you a preferential rate when you were a founding tenant. Standard practice is to bring legacy tenants up to market rate over a 3-year period. Martinez glanced at me. Though Miss Williams has final approval on all lease terms. The elevator dinged. A woman in scrubs stepped out, took one look at the gathered crowd, and quickly walked toward the physical therapy clinic. I should get back to work, I said. Dad, your insurance forms are here if you want them. Otherwise, I'll drop them in your office mailbox on my way out. Emma. His voice was different now, smaller. Why didn't you tell me? I tried, multiple times, but you'd already decided who I was, and nothing I said would change that. I set the envelope on the reception desk. You're going to hear things now. People will talk. Your colleagues, your friends, probably Mom when you tell her. You're going to be tempted to explain it all away. Say I got lucky, or married rich, or inherited money from someone. Don't. I wouldn't. You would. Because admitting you were completely wrong about me for 28 years is harder than inventing a story where none of this was real accomplishment. I adjusted my bag on my shoulder. But here's the thing, Dad. This building, the bookstores, the consulting business, I built all of it, while you told everyone I was working minimum wage retail and living in squalor. Dr. Saunders was backing away slowly, clearly wanting to escape this conversation. The security guards can walk me out if you want, I said, or I can just leave. Your choice. The taller guard shook his head quickly. No, ma'am, that won't be necessary. Then I'll see you at Sunday dinner, Dad, unless you'd prefer I didn't come. No, He stopped, started again. Dinner is fine. Okay. I headed for the glass doors, leading to the parking lot, then paused. Martinez, can you have maintenance look at the 3rd floor bathroom? One of the therapists mentioned the sink's been running slow. I'll send someone up today, Miss Williams. Behind me, I heard Dad say something to Dr. Saunders. The words were too quiet to make out, but the tone was pure shock. My phone buzzed as I reached my car. A text from Martinez. That was more dramatic than expected. You okay? Fine. I typed back. How were the contractor meetings? Good. Urgent care facility looks on schedule. Permits should clear next month. Perfect. Send me the updated timeline. I sat in my car for a moment, watching through the glass doors as Dad stood in the lobby, still holding the manila envelope, surrounded by colleagues, who were definitely going to have questions. 28 years of being invisible, of every achievement dismissed, every success downplayed, every choice questioned, and all it took was one building purchase for him to finally see me. I started the engine and headed back to work. The flagship bookstore had a reading event tonight, and I needed to check on the refreshment setup. Real estate empires don't run themselves, but they're significantly easier than getting your father to respect you. One of those things you can buy, the other apparently, you can't.